It looks like the hookup is here. Y'all are not ready. I think pretty early on, I knew that I really wanted there to be colors, you know, something that really popped out. And when me and Wayne were first talking about this, one of the first things we discussed was an album cover, or, you know, the art design of it all. This is a collection of just a lot of stuff. Storyboards, mostly for the videos, and you know, some art designs for some of the stuff that we ended up doing for the logos. But yeah, I'd always been working on stories, and there was this idea that I had a while back, and I had tried to write like a kid's book about it, and then I changed the aesthetic around and I tried to write like a YA book about it, but the theme always stuck with me. And right before those initial conversations where me and Wayne formed the band together, I had started working on this idea of these two little vessels, little toys, that, you know, obviously I won't go into everything right now, right here, but they always stuck with me, and I didn't have a full design for them. But after talking with Wayne and kind of going over the things and themes that we felt were important and things that happened in our lives, these images sort of came to me, and I came up with the two avatars, 7 and 3. Honestly, so much has been informed past that. Once I had those two pieces of the aesthetic, a lot just kind of formed out of that. Eventually, we knew that we needed a logo, and also, obviously, you know, it's down the road, but we've started thinking about merch and, you know, what do people want? What would people want to wear? How do we best kind of display the colors and the pop, and kind of this idea of, like, you know, art sticking with you, and kind of being able to push through a lot of the darker things. And, you know, paint is obviously one of the quickest ways to get an expression out in art. I mean, you slap some paint on a white canvas and instantly, like, everything is changed about the canvas. You're already expressing something. So I knew I wanted to do something with like a paint splotch. In fact, if you look at Healthcheck's album cover, it's all just like kind of like spray painted background, like paint splotches everywhere. But I didn't want to just have the avatars' faces. And so I started working on this idea of, like, what if it was almost our version of a smiley face, but it was like a paint drop splotch. Now they're kind of like paint drop jellyfish looking thing, but I still love them. I mean, they're one of my favorite things I've ever done. The design came together so well. And then obviously once we started creating our social medias, we couldn't have both of these be on there, but it was perfect. It fit in the little circles that most of the things have. And so I had the idea of, what if we just cut it straight down the middle and have half of 7, half of 3's paint splotch. And that's what ended up being our logo. Incidentally, I think they look really good on some merch. Here they are. Got the 7 hoodie, got the 3 hoodie. On the back is the Mizfit logo, and they're soft. I'm telling you right now, you guys are gonna want to wear these. See how awesome it is to see these in front of me. I made these designs, and now they are on some really soft hoodies. The story was coming together. One of the first things I worked on was these little symbols to represent some of the things that go on behind the scenes. Mind you, when I created the Avatar 7 and 3, I could still see. When I created the first set of symbols, I was struggling. It was very hard to C to design stuff, and you know, they weren't the greatest things. Actually working on revising the symbols now so that when we use them in the future, they look a little better. When it came time for Demons to come out, Wayne actually came to me and said, hey man, I don't want to just use the same art that we have for Healthcheck and, you know, the social medias. So we had a discussion about, you know, should he do something, because he does art too. He's really good with graphic design, especially, and you know, paper craft, and you know, a lot of different types of art that we thought about using. And we had kind of a couple of discussions back and forth, and I had no idea what to use really. I was open to anything, and then this image just kind of popped in my head, and I was like, hey man, let me try something. You know, if you like it, we'll use that. If not, we'll go a different direction. I sat down, just sketched this out real quick. I mean, honestly, probably 10, 15 minutes. Got the colors I liked, kind of had that sunset feel. And yeah, I sent it to him, and instantly he was like, yep, that's it. And that's honestly, that's how a lot of stuff happens with with all of our decisions. It's usually like idea pops in our head, work on it, shoot at the other person. Yep, that's it, done. Not a lot of going back and forth. There are a few things we go back and forth on a lot, but I don't know, a lot of times art or the actual music itself, we just know. If we know it's right, and we use that. For me, art is just as much of an importance as the music, the story behind everything. I remember when I first watched Pink Floyd The Wall, I was so pulled into this idea of like this movie-esque story happening behind the scenes of this album. I'm a huge fan of the Gorillaz and everything that they've done with their albums. I mean, I've sat there and watched hours of the content of the behind the scenes story. Obviously a huge 21 Pilots fan, and everything they've got going on with the story. My Chemical Romance, when they did it. I think having this deeper thing in the background is really cool. And to me, the best way that I can express that, besides the music itself, is through the art. Not to mention, I feel like it just really expresses some of the things that we're trying to get across, to have these colors pop when a lot of the songs are dealing with pretty deep, sometimes dark, sometimes sad topics. I think that dichotomy is really important, because we have to remember, why do we have art? Why do we use art? Why do we express ourselves? And I think colors sometimes are the quickest way to show that contrast between something being dull or dark or you know, hard to see, and then something popping out and something kind of being in your face or comforting. And for me, everything is a very deliberate choice when it comes to our aesthetic. And I've had a lot of enjoyment getting to work on that part of it.
Can't tell me nothing. All right, now, who's ready for some merch?